Alright, so let's do this. Let's have the talk that we know is inevitable.
Come on, everybody. Here we go! Up to Neverland!
Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about post-DCP depression. That thing that everyone's like, yeah, it's so real, but it's like, has anyone ever said it's not real? Okay, so basically in this video I'm going to tell you guys about my struggle with post-DCP depression, my journey, and what helped me get through it, which obviously I'm good now if I'm making the video about it, right? Right? It only took me almost 3 months. Okay, so my personal journey with post-DCP depression. So as I was nearing the end of my program, my boyfriend kept on saying, oh, you know, like, are you prepared, like, to have this post-DCP depression? Because I don't know how many of you guys have now watched my vlogs, if any of you guys are new or whatever. Anyway, Dave's friend Chris, I've mentioned him a couple of videos, he came home earlier than I did, and Dave was hanging out with him, and Chris was really down in the dumps, and Dave was like, damn, you know, if Chris is like this, I can't even imagine what kind of hot mess Liz is going to be in once she comes home. And I kept on saying, psh, I'll be fine, yeah, you know, it's going to suck, you know, not living in Disney World, not being with my friends, whatever, boo-hoo, it sucks, but yay, I'm excited to come home, see my family, you know, have summer, see my friends. Let's just say, boy, was I wrong. So after I got home, obviously post-DCP depression started to set in. Now, it's not exactly what you think. I mean, at least with me personally. People think, oh, post-DCP depression, all these people, boo-hoo, they don't have the charmed life they did anymore by going to Disney World whenever the heck they wanted. For me, it wasn't about that. And I don't know how true this is to everyone else, but to me, it was more of kind of not like a reality check or a culture shock, but something similar to that. I can't really put that into words. But it made me analyze where I was in my life now that I didn't have Disney anymore. I think maybe it might have been especially hard for me personally because I just did the spring program. I didn't extend until the summer, and I didn't only have a few weeks to head back to school and get back into it. I had all this time in the summer just to do nothing and go back to my job that I had before Disney and realize how different that was. And, okay. Let's take it back. Okay, so after I got home, I had a couple of weeks, and I, like, you know, took it all in, tried to unpack and get myself together. Then I went back to work. Those of you who don't know, I work at Barnes & Noble. And my particular store, we got a new merch manager, and one of our other managers was on, like, medical leave. So it was, like, a whole weird thing. And a lot of me felt like, you know, with, like, new management and kinds of things, I felt like my skills there weren't as appreciated as they were before. Because now at this point, I am one of the most senior people there when it comes to the part-timers, and, you know, it's only going to be 3 years since I've been there, so, you know, like, I know my stuff, basically. So, I was really miserable at work, because also not, I don't want to come off like, oh, you know, like, oh, she's underappreciated, but when I went to work, like, I felt good about myself because, you know, people would always be like, oh, man, what are we going to do? Oh, wait, Elizabeth's coming here. She's going to help us out. And, you know, that makes people feel good, obviously. And I wasn't feeling as good as I should have every time I used to go to work. And also, summer is really busy for Barnes & Noble. Those of you who don't realize, summer reading is the thing. And my store is the only bookstore in my entire borough of New York City. So we are very, very busy. So it was just really hard for me to adjust. And, you know, I was miserable at work all the time. And it also, you know, being back home I felt that, oh, my friends at home don't have as much in common with me as my DCP friends. Bianca understands me the most. Or, oh man, if Beatrice was here, like, things would be different. And, oh man, oh, Sydney's the funniest person in the world. How can I go on? Oh my god, what am I going to do without, saying, hey, let's, go to the water park, Sarah, let's do something. Like, I felt that I didn't have that connection with my friends anymore, which was beyond ridiculous, because the girls that I consider my best friends, we have been best friends since we were 8 years old. That's like 14 years of friendship. So I just felt that since Disney was such a huge part of my life, and coming back, having Disney be an even greater influence, since these girls didn't live in Disney, they couldn't understand me. So that was another part of my misery, being that, like, I didn't have my roommates. I didn't have the girls who I considered my best friends now. And it was just so hard, because I felt that I wasn't going anywhere with school, that, I was going into my 4th year of college. I should be graduating this year, but with my school, it was just not possible for that to happen. So I felt like I wasn't going anywhere with school. I wasn't going anywhere with my job. A part-time job making minimum wage should not have made you been feeling as miserable as I felt. And I felt that I had nobody to turn to when it came to my friends. And then it even came to a point where I had to tell my boyfriend, hey, I'm not going to text you or really talk to you because I need to work on myself. So I thought doing that would have made me feel better, because I felt like, every time I hang out with him, I cry. And, that shouldn't feel that way. However, after I told him that and I wasn't talking to him, that is when I felt like I hit my lowest point. Oh my god. Like, I'm getting emotional thinking about this. So after I stopped talking to him, I felt like I truly had no one. So what was I going to do about this? First off, time is a big helper, because as time went on, I was able to prove myself to new management and a lot of new hires that, hey, I'm an asset here at work. And once I had that confidence back, I was able to handle our busier situations and times and, days of the week and whatever much more easily. I like I said, I work in a bookstore, so what was a big help was a lot of self-help books. So one of the biggest ones that I felt helps me out a lot was The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. This really struck me because, blue and yellow are like my favorite colors, so hello. And this was a really popular book a couple of years ago. But what this was especially was the author, Gretchen Rubin. She's like, hey, I'm not depressed. There's just things that I should be happier about in my life. I have a great life. So this made me realize, life isn't really bad. I just need to make myself happier. I shouldn't dig myself into this hole and make myself feel miserable and make me feel like, oh my god, I need to go speak to a psychiatrist and get some kind of help. Because I did have a great life. I still had family who supported me. My boyfriend, who was so great about me needing time. He could have just have easily been like, no, I'm not doing that. Thank you. Bye, bitch. But he didn't do that. And, I still had these girls who've been around for like 14 years, not just, saying, see you, Liz, you suck now, you lived in Disney, you left us. So this book was really great about that, and it gave me like a lot of, insight into, what things I can do to help myself feel better. Another book that really helped me out is The 5 Love Languages. Yes, it says for singles, like, don't freak out, like, me and Dave are still together. It means, like, marital status. So, even if you don't read the 5 love languages, I feel like knowing what the 5 love languages are, and what your love language is, and what other people's around you's love languages is super, super helpful. Basically, a love language is how, you not understand. It helps you understand what helps you feel most loved. So if you understand what your love language is and what other people's love languages are, it's easier for you to express to people how much you love them. Not just your romantic relationships, but it helps tons with your friends, your family, like a whole bunch of different aspects in your life. So once I was able to read, look how short this is. Like once I was able to read this and understand, you know, the people around me, I was able to open up more and express how I was feeling and how I needed other people to treat me and how I needed to treat other people much, much better. And finally, after I was getting all this self-help, I felt like I needed more. I feel like I needed actual inspiration to get myself out of a rut. So there are so many things out there, but what I suggest, what worked for me personally, which I hope will help for you, obviously I feel like you may need help if you clicked on this video, is something inspiring. And I say get yourself a pretty book. So what I picked myself up is A Hot Glue Gun Mess by Mr. Kate. She is like the most hilarious, adorable human being person on the planet. It's a DIY book, and she's like a stylist, interior designer, internet personality kind of person. And this book, yes, it has a whole bunch of DIYs in it, which, you know, is very inspiring, and it's beautiful. Like, look at, like, this book is just so pretty, and like this cover, oh god, so pretty. A lot of it is just like funny stories about her life, and it's essays, and it's just so hilarious. That's another thing. You need laughter and prettiness in your life, are my opinions on what you need. So yeah, after like I've read tons of books, I was feeling pretty good, but the thing that truly helped me kick my DCP depression in the butt was listening to a speech that my dad sent me. My dad is really into like a lot of motivational speakers, and he knows that like I watch a lot of online video. So he sent me this video, and he's like, hey, you know, like I watched this video and I thought this guy was really inspiring. I was like, okay. I'm like, my dad sends me an email. I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't watch it. And then he like keeps on saying, hey Elizabeth, did you watch that video? No, Dad, not yet. And apparently he sent it to my sister and my brother, and he kept on asking us for weeks until one day my sister's like, I watched it, and she's like, and it was like an hour long. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, there's no way I'm watching it now. So more and more time passes, and until finally I had absolutely nothing to do, and once again my dad's asking me, hey, did you watch that video? I was like, no. So I wound up watching it that day because I was off from work and I didn't really have anything else to do because, like I said, I wasn't really hanging out with anyone else. So I sat down and I watched this video. I will link it here, and if you're on mobile, which I usually am, I'll link it in the description. It was just so inspiring. It's about a lot of things. It's about, you know, making your mornings miracle mornings. Basically, he says that, you know, if you can't get out of bed earlier to do something that will just better your life, even if it's just for 10 minutes earlier, how do you expect your life to get better if you rather, you know, say, oh, hit the snooze button 3 more times instead of, you know, getting up that first time and doing something. So there's that, and then he also talks about his life, which, whew, not gonna spoil anything, but damn, like, this guy, goals. So after I watched that video, I like adopted some of the things he said about, you know, something in life happens and you can't change it. Instead of getting angry about it, you're just like, can't change it, you know, and move on. And that helps me like so much. I can't even describe how much that helps me. And after that, I started, you know, hanging out with my friends and my boyfriend more. And once I started doing that, I never felt happier in my life, like, ever. Like, right now. I'm in such a good place. It just makes me so excited talking about it. Like, yes, I know I just lived in Disney World for 6 months, and Disney is my passion and what really gets me going, but just being here in this moment, enjoying my life, has made me so happy. Like, I wish I was much more eloquent and better at doing things like this, just so I can express to you guys how much better I feel. So another tip that if you guys aren't like big into reading or, you know, watching motivational speeches, what I recommend is still using that get inspired tip and make yourself a Disney shrine, kind of like what I did here. I felt, for me personally, watching like my old vlogs, like be like, my friends, I miss them, that makes you feel worse. Watching other people's vlogs makes you feel worse. Like, watching things like that, like about the DCP, will make you feel worse. At least it did to me. So what I felt is you had to get back into the heart of Disney. So I watched a lot of actual Disney movies, and I watched a lot of like Imagineering specials, and doing something like this, which was, you know, like still a little whisper to my program, but mostly being about Disney and getting to wake up to this every day, really just put a smile on my face and reminded me that, hey, you know, like, my program may be over, but that doesn't mean my life is over. Anyway, I hope some of these tips helped you guys out, and I know it was kind of rambly. I didn't really want to think too much about this video. I really just wanted to speak from the heart. So if you guys liked this and you want more of Disney from my life perspective, I would love it if you subscribed. And I hope you all have a seamless day, week, night, anytime you're watching this. And I'm going to end this.